Tim Wells. Good to see you.
You as well.
Yeah, coming from down under,
That's
right?
it.
Yes. All
Yeah.
right. Good to have you here, mate. Right?
Yeah,
Is that what
that's
you gotta
it.
say?
That's
There we
it.
go.
Yeah.
All right. So coming from Freightsmith. So Tim, tell us a little bit about Freightsmith and what do you guys do?
No, good stuff. Yeah, no, Freightsmith. So Freightsmith is a suite of solutions,
Mm-hmm.
digitizing the whole inbound piece for for receivers. So
Mm,
our products vary from being used by carriers, drivers, all the way through
mm-hmm.
to receivers and shippers. So where our solution is ultimately to improve velocity of
Mm-hmm.
trucks through the site. So obviously our process and our thought process around it is to increase the velocity of the trucks through,
Mm-hmm.
reduce mitigation or mitigate detention,
Yeah.
and just make it a shipper friendly facility. So
Mm,
improve that whole connectivity and communication between the incoming trucks and
right.
and the receiver.
Interesting. And I guess from you're solving that a problem, right? So from on this inbound side. So if we look at the problem really that was kind of arise that Freightsmith went after and tried to resolve. I mean, what was that big problem and that big issue?
Well, a lot of what we do, and even just in the the digitizing space, right,
Mm-hmm.
is everything in that area has been very manual in the past. So
Yeah.
a lot of drivers having to get out of their trucks, do a lot of walking,
Mm-hmm.
standing in line to check in,
Yeah.
a lot of traffic congestion at the gate. When they get into the facility, knowing where to go, who to speak to.
Mm-hmm.
The communication piece was always a challenge. So you know, when you look at it, we have systems out there like a TMS that manages the, outside the gate.
Mm-hmm.
We have WMS that works with inside the four walls.
Yeah.
We've created, in our opinion, a new space which is IMS, and that's that
IMS.
big black
So
hole, right? So
another acronym, Tim.
absolutely. Well, you might as well,
Yeah.
leverage something that's
Yeah.
familiar with the industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you look at, and when you go to conferences, people talk about a black hole,
Right.
right? And that is, we lose sight of what's
Yeah.
happening with that truck the minute it hits the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone knows what's happening in the warehouse,
Yeah.
but no one knows, what's happening within that space of,
Mm-hmm.
a truck checking in and a truck, starting to be unloaded,
Mm-hmm.
completion, payment for the unload,
Yeah.
and then departure, right? So,
Mm.
we kind of built that area, and our connectivity through API back and forward, we
Right.
totally connected to all those systems. And even if you have a YMS, we kind of complement all of
Yeah.
those
So I was
systems
gonna
and
ask.
kind
Yeah.
of give that full visibility, right?
Mm, interesting. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like if you have a YMS, right? So the YMS is kind of taking care of almost the inventory in the yard, right?
Yep.
And then the IMS, as you guys are calling it, right? The inbound management system.
Yeah, inbound
Okay.
management
All
system.
right. See, I'm pretty smart. I can figure that out. So
Yeah.
you have that, and that's kind of like covering all the outside of that process,
Correct.
right? Of the YMS, right? So how does that all kind of end up flowing and integrating together into eventually your WMS inside the facility?
Right. So I mean, we connect back, and all our information flows back into the WMS.
Mm-hmm.
We also do door assignment within our IMS, or the platform that we leverage to monitor. So we have full
Yeah.
visibility of what's happening. The door assignment is completed in the IMS.
Mm.
That's instantly communicated back to the driver who's sitting
Right.
in his truck with an app.
Yeah.
He knows what door to go to. He doesn't have to keep checking backwards and forwards. All of that information we have is, flows back into a WMS, so we have end-to-end full visibility around all those milestones.
Interesting stuff, and I think it makes a lot of sense, like you said, to eliminate that black hole, right? And
Right.
we want to, we don't necessarily always want to have more and more acronyms, but I think it makes sense to bring in the system and take care of those processes so everything can kind of seamlessly flow together.
Right.
Inside, right? And I think it's important to note too, because we talk about you mentioned the WMS and all the other systems that are around the warehouse itself, but when you look at where does the process start, process starts on the inbound, right?
Right.
So you want to make sure that you have all the information, all the data, all the necessary communications on that inbound side. So you're allowing for those processes to really start the way they need to start, and then
Right.
flow through all the way to your outbound and out the door to your customer. I think it makes a lot of sense. So as you're you guys had a booth here, right? So as you're talking to attendees and people coming up, I mean, what are they saying are some of their biggest pain points on the inbound side?
Well, and a lot of what folks are coming to us with is
Mhm.
we don't have, we're still doing, we're still doing scheduling manually. We're still working off clipboards. We've got a lot of folks that are losing sight of what's happening in the
Yeah.
yard. So, they're coming to us and saying that process flow makes perfect sense to us.
Yeah.
And to have better control
Mhm.
over that process is what we need, right?
Yeah.
We've got trucks sitting out there. We don't know which one's first, which one's last, and especially those folks that are not big organizations. So from our perspective, whether you're a facility with 5 trucks a day or whether you're a facility with 200 trucks a day, our solution is a good solution for you. And we're finding a lot of 3PLs that are looking at us and saying, all these other solutions are very expensive. You guys are totally cost effective, and this is what we need so that we can get an instant ROI by reducing all those manual processes and labor cost and digitizing that process. So it's been a great show for us.
Yeah. I mean, I think that makes so much sense too, and it's great to hear that you're able to solve some of these issues, and it's great to hear that you're able to get rid of some clipboards too.
Oh,
yeah,
not good for the clipboard industry though, Kevin.
Yes, sorry if there's
about
any clipboard companies out there
clipboards
listening. We're sorry, but if you're getting clipboards inbound, though, we have something for you. Right?
We do have
there you go. So very interesting to learn about this, and certainly filling a gap that I think needs to be filled, so we can further streamline that process all the way through. So Tim, I want to thank you so much for coming and joining us here at the booth and talking to us about Freightsmith. If people are interested in learning more about Freightsmith, how can they do that?
Well, they can contact me. I'm the VP of strategy over there at Freightsmith. So twells@freightsmith.net.
Okay.
I'm open to have a conversation with anyone about anything. I've been in the supply chain a long time. So, if it's anything, they can always reach out to me.
All right. Sounds good. And definitely put that information up so people can easily find it. So Tim, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks, Kevin.